Hey, welcome back again to Auto Transport Intel. My name is Jay. I want to welcome you back to another live show. I am the car hauling dispatcher, and this is Tuesday nights live, so I welcome you all to join me back in the chat. We got, hey Patrick, welcome back. Jesse, thanks for joining the show. And Mike, welcome back. Awesome. So, got another great show lined up for you tonight. When you see me looking off to this direction, I'm looking at the live chat. Got folks coming in, and thank you for that, Jesse. And nothing on the TV tonight. So the Olympics are over. So we're back to normal life. Everything is back to normal. So because of that, and an ongoing issue that, this is an everyday thing. We're going to have an incredible interview with a carrier compliance expert from Fleet Compliance Solutions, LLC. Brian Riker is with us tonight. It's going to be awesome. I don't know how long this interview is going to go. We're going to go as long as he can stand it. So, and Ahmad, welcome back to the show. Awesome. Good to see you guys coming back. And let's see, we got Facebook news, of course. We're going to do that first. And also wanted to mention, we got my buddy Dave Williams, Clarksville Trucking. That's him. He loaded up. Got loaded at the Mannheim, Nashville earlier today. And hopefully you guys have seen the video. It's doing pretty well. Let's see, got Dave. Where's he at? Meet Dave. Meet Wally Moe. This is a cool video. Yeah, wow, over 600 views already. That is awesome. He's got a 4-car Wally Moe, and he showed it to me. We met. We were having coffee. We're hanging out. Then I recorded him, and then I made a video out of it. It's fantastic, and got to do more of those videos. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, as I go into the topic tonight, don't forget you can go to autotransportintel.com and check out the Auto Transport Business Startup blog post. It's 2 posts, part 1 and part 2. I did that because of the length of the steps, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and you can go through here. And the reason I'm bringing this up is as we head into the carrier compliance interview, if you don't already have a copy of this handy, which you can download, this is free information. I'm not the expert, but I tried to put it together as best as I could. And you can click on, download Auto Transport Business Startup and save it as a PDF. Keep a copy handy. That could probably come in handy tonight. We are talking about FMCSA carrier compliance with the DOT. So before we get into all that mess, let's go ahead and jump into Facebook news. Mike, thank you. So Mike has given a super chat tonight. I was asking that if my videos help you improve your business in any way, please do donate to the show with a super chat. And you can easily do that by clicking on the $ icon near the chat window. And Mike and I had talked about, he put the time in with me to learn a 2-hour live training, part 1. And in exchange, he wanted to thank me. And Mike, I really appreciate that. I really do. Anything that the channel gets goes back into the channel. I work on this every day, and it means a lot to me. It's awesome. So thank you so much, Mike. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, Facebook news is interesting. Let's see here. Let's get this window going again here. It's interesting. So the super chat stays at the top and just dominates the area, so the purpose is if a fan is willing to give money through a super chat, that super chat forces the YouTuber to recognize them, which I'm glad to do. So again, I really appreciate that, Mike, and I'm looking forward to, in a week from tonight, we're going to do part 2, which is going to be crazy. So hold on to your hat, because I don't even know how many parts there are. I've never put it in a formal training before, but I have trained dispatchers, and so I guess I'm qualified. if one can argue, which one might. All right, so let's see here. What do we got? Facebook news. All right, so what we do is we start the show with a little bit of fun. I see, I'm in a lot of Facebook car hauling groups. I encourage you to do the same, and you're going to see crazy stuff. Welcome to the show, Jacob. Awesome. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate that. And this is, man, I don't even know when this car hauler is from. Anybody got any guesses? It's cool, though. That'd be a great wall poster, wouldn't it? It's just cool. Let's see here. So, all right, let's move on to the next thing. All right. Oh, yeah, this is cool. Rarely witnessed birth of a truck driver. I had to put that in there. That is great. So, yeah, that's a real guy. That is a real truck driver. Even if it hangs off, send it. This driver is a friend of mine, but I have to laugh out loud. Feeling cool is what the driver says. So send it, man. Just do it. Get her done. Speaking of get her done, that is one way to get her done, I guess. I'm pretty sure Brian with carrier compliance would have something fun to say about that. Kind of looks like when you get snagged up in the trees while you're fishing. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That looks like a dispatcher tie down. Here we got 4 chained, 2 pulling forward, 2 holding the roof down. Glad it's not my Beamer. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on there, but I don't know. I love loading pictures. Send me your loading pictures. Why not? Send me your unloading pictures. Can you high side car haulers post your loaded pics so I can learn from all? I'm new, real new. And I want to see setup so I can save and get ideas. Thanks, PFA. PFA of me trying to lower the car. Okay, so that's good. Again, that looks like another. That's yeah, it's pretty good. All right. Oh, the nerd on 18 wheels is here. Nice. That is pretty nice. All right. This is I like this photo. I'd call this like car hauler. I don't know, appreciation. Sure, why not? You go to McDonald's, and they are on the wall next to the Happy Meal. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, I call this homework. What brand and size tires are you guys running on a triple axle Mini 5? Yeah. So, like, everybody has some degree of homework, but this is homework. Cool. We got 10 minutes till Brian. That's perfect. Start to the day, had to tow a rollover. End of the day, tow bill says towable and keys. Get to the address, no keys. Front end is a mess, no rear tires. Right front tire. Now, this is car hauling. Hashtag this is car hauling. Right? Nothing is as expected or listed. These are probably listed as run and drives. Right? Can I get a hoo-ah? Can I get a... Right. Oh, look! The Indiana State flower is in bloom. Right? Pretty sure. Echo Screen, welcome back to the show. Janine, welcome back to the show. Wow, I got 30 people watching right now. Alright, so if we get to 40, that's a total record. I think even 36 might be the record so far. We'll get there. I ain't worried about it. With your help, of course. I don't know. There's something about this show, man. There's something about this show. I'm just along for the ride, So, just like, we're all along for the ride. Everybody come quick. The top Florida scale is closed. So, that's good news. That was today. So, I don't know if that's true tomorrow, but... Let's see. Anybody coming up northbound I-85 into South Carolina from Georgia, there's a big state transport police presence past the scale around exit 14. I would try to avoid it if possible. I think these guys are bored today. Just an opinion. I didn't write it, by the way. So, I didn't write this. He who transport BMWs out of the port of Baltimore for $60 a unit locally is a disgrace to the industry. Okay, I didn't write it, but I as a dispatcher, I'm not going to book a $60 car, man. I'm not going to do that. That's a definite dispatch. Don't book $60 cars. Just say no. Just say no. Okay, and here's a, what do we got here? Okay, this is Cars Arrive. This is interesting. Somebody grabbed a snapshot of this. Introducing flat transport fees, now until the end of 2018. Trade Rev plus Cars Arrive. Trade Rev and Cars Arrive have partnered to bring you incredible savings. I mean, is this good news for the car hauler? No. Is it? I don't think so. Just another deal to make people think this is Taco Bell. You know? This is not pizza delivery. This is auto transport, man. Anybody that would come to this Nashville CarMax is out of their mind. I've heard that a lot of the CarMaxes, or many of the CarMaxes, or maybe it's just locations in general. You know, you have a lot of I don't know, a lot of nonsense. Just longer than it takes. Shouldn't take so long. The ELD's running, man. I got the ELD running. All right, I don't have time for you to not have the car ready. Right? This is what he's talking about. ELD's running. All right, ELD's running. All right, Jay. It's time for some Kool-Aid. When your ELD gets you down, turn that frown upside down with ELD Kool-Aid. Super safe. Super Kool-Aid. You saw this coming. There will be no staging of Ford marshalling units outside these gates. No exceptions. Gee, how do you think that happened, right? And isn't that a shame? Don't you hate it when that stuff happens? When they start to tighten the Mannheim hours, or I called Mannheim Nashville today, and they've changed their gate pass process or something. I don't know. Why, you know, those things were working. Why change that? How about, here's, I got to change for you. Answer the phone sometimes. Okay. My days in the auto transport business are counted. I don't think I can do this much longer. That's why we're talking about $60 cars out of Baltimore Port and whatnot, you know. There's a lot of frustration in this business. I don't have to tell you. I'm just here to share the party. Alan Spears, welcome to the show. ELD's nuts. Hashtag. No ELD break. Yeah, we might take one. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to impede upon the interview. That's actually why I've put away the ELD. Well, dang it. See, now I'm getting worked up again. So I feel so much better about ELDs now that I drank my Kool-Aid. I'm just going to move on. Hey guys, anyone know a good factoring company? I saw this one a few weeks ago. Saw it again. I'll show it every time because you know what this show needs is a good factoring company referral. I don't have one. So if you're a good factoring company, you know, let me know. Send me an email. autotransportintel@gmail.com, and let's see, you know, if we can do business. Where does everyone get their driver agreement and or lease agreement to hire drivers to drive under your authority? I don't know. I did see this on Facebook today, and somebody had said that they had one and would sell it for $100. So $100 for a good template? I mean, the guy implied that he was kidding, but I don't know. Sounds reasonable. Hey, what's up, Hotshot Dave? Welcome to the show. Awesome, man. Oh, yes. That's right. Central Dispatch has another announcement, although this has been up there for a while. Ratings Management Rules of Engagement. And basically, in short form, it's kind of saying that, well, here, you look down here, we will no longer be responding to ratings, questions, or disputes via phone. So, it sounds to me like they're kind of pulling back from ratings disputes. And you know what? If the price goes up and the engagement goes down, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that picture? I don't really get it. What am I getting for? Well, I'm not paying it. As a dispatcher, you don't have a central dispatch account. You use your driver's account. Well, what's your driver getting for that 115 plus per month? I still want to know. I don't really know the answer to that. It's just a list. You're not guaranteed anything. I don't get it. All right. This guy right here was awesome. Okay, this is cool. Here we go. This is a cool shout out. We don't know the guy's name, but I couldn't get my tandems to slide. He said, your brakes need to be adjusted. We're at the TA in Laredo. When he finished fueling, he came over, adjusted them, helped slide the tandems. This is trucking that my dad always talked about, helping each other. I offered to buy him dinner, but he refused and said, that's what we do out here, we help. That is really cool. So, thank you, guy in Laredo, Texas, for helping out to just help another driver. That is really cool. And I got to say, when personally dealing driver to driver, and the folks in the chat all know that I think we would help each other if we could. If it comes, if the moment comes where somebody can help, this is car hauling. So, you missed some good Facebook news. Oh, come on, Jacob. That's really cool. Thanks, man. Pre-pass helped. I never know if this stuff is, well, I think it's kind of interesting, but, it's hit or miss. It's like, thank you, the Jimmy Fallon thing, I think. You never know. Okay, AutoStrap Transport, new owner-operator. AutoStrap Transport is proud to announce a new lease-to-own operator program. So, those guys are in Fontana, California. If that interests you, check it out. Let's see, Patty Sullivan Transport currently seeking drivers to add to their fleet. There's a phone number, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina. Give them a call. Let's see, Auto Express Transport is currently looking for a dedicated driver. There's a phone number. There's an email. So if you think you got what it takes, give them a call. And I'm always happy to post. If you have a job posting, whether you're looking for a driver, or dispatcher, or vice versa, man, I'll post it. Send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. RT Trucking is seeking owner-operators for competitive pay. There's a phone number. Northeast Texas is where they're based out of. So, and if I'm moving too fast, watch the video on demand, right? Oh, and give a like. If you got a thumb or whatever you give likes with, please give a like. I appreciate it. Those really help me in the YouTube rankings. Small family-owned company seeking qualified driver. We run Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. You got a couple phone numbers. Pays 25%. I hear that's not bad, actually. Here's another one. Looking for hotshot drivers to drive my rigs. Central Texas area. So you got a name there. Find him on Facebook. He's got flatbed work. Dang. Awesome. Very awesome. Let's see. Any car hauling dispatchers on the site, please PM. Looking for a dispatcher soon. That's cool. I'm full. I can't take on any new drivers. Have at it. In any way I can help you get a driver, take on work is good with me. I like this one. We drive I-95. I forgot to go to the website. I think it's a website. We drive I-95. And so, looking for more snowbird work. So, if you're a car shipping customer and you stumbled upon this show and you're still here and you're on the East Coast, that is a lot of parameters, but we drive I-95. And if you've got a ticket, here's a... Well, let's see here. Can't see that, huh? Let's see if I can zoom in here. Zoom in and move it up. Okay, there's a phone number. All right, you got a ticket? truckertraffictickets.com. Then there's an 800 number. That's pretty cool. I don't know anything about them. I just found the information. I'm sharing it. Okay, and we are close to our interview now. Ziggy has, I want to say he's the creator of IATA. I know it's a partnership. There's a few founding members, something like that. Anyways, it seems like, honestly to me, the best new car hauling association and alliance on the market. There is a membership fee, but well worth it. I encourage you to contact Ziggy. Go to iata.biz, IATA.biz for Independent Auto Transporters Alliance. and find out more about the benefits of joining the Alliance. And Ziggy, also, man, the guy's great. The guy gives. He's willing to help and impart knowledge, but he's also a very straight shooter. And he recommended that I talk to Brian and that we do an interview. So actually, that's tonight's interview is Brian Riker of Fleet Compliance Solutions LLC. And that's who we're about to call. Let me check my chat before I go any further. Okay, well, we got a retracted message. Those are always interesting. Somebody should get messageretracted.com. Probably get some hits. So, all right, so let's do it. Let's call Brian. See what's going on. Let's see. Before I do, let's go ahead and pull up the infographic. Let's go ahead and get ready here, Jay. Okay, so yeah, this is my thumbnail that I made for today. And I'm going to move me over into the corner there. And let's go ahead and switch out. Oh, here's a new, okay, this is brand new. All right, I just did this today. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put that in. Are you guys ready? Do I have a drum roll? All right, here we go. Okay, we are live. You are live. Well, I'm live. You're live. Who's alive out there? Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to Auto Transport Intel.
Hey, Jay, how are you?
How you doing?
Wonderful.
All right, cool. I want to thank you for joining me on the show. And did you tune in on your computer also? Are you able to see the stream?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. That's good because I'm assuming there are car haulers in the audience that are going to start asking questions. And for everyone out there in TV land, we've got Brian Riker on the phone from Fleet Compliance Solutions LLC. So, all right, Brian. Well, we talked about when did we first talk? About a week ago? 2 weeks ago?
About that, yeah.
And, basically please tell me in a nutshell, what is it that you do?
Well, I take my 25 years of experience as a car hauler. I started as a driver and became an operations manager at an auction and then owned a fleet for the last 14 years. I've taken all that experience, rolled it up into a consulting firm where I help new companies get started. I help existing companies fix problems they might be having with regulatory compliance, and I'll help you if you get in some trouble, you need to fix a problem with an upcoming audit. Say your driver has got some bad inspections, you don't know how the data queue process works to challenge that, or you just need an employee handbook and policy manual because you're growing from 1 or 2 trucks up to a half a dozen, and you want to make sure you start off doing it right so that you don't look up one day and have 15 or 20 people working for you and no one even knows who's in charge.
All right. So, when people come to you, what is there a normal way this happens? I mean, with all this experience, it sounds intimidating, actually. For like, if I was let's say I was a mid-sized fleet and I realized I needed help, would I feel intimidated to call you?
I wouldn't say intimidated. Intimidation, that's the tactics that the auditors use when they come in to visit you. They try to scare you into compliance. I'm here as your friend to help you. I've been there. I've done it. I'll be honest, I didn't start my first company with the right authority. I got a not-for-hire DOT number and just went to work. And I learned this over years, many hard lessons. And I'm here with the heart of a teacher to help keep you and your audience and my potential clients from getting in trouble. I've been there. I've felt the pain. You don't need to feel the pain. And in today's world, you really need to be compliant, because the slightest little thing goes wrong, even when it's not your fault. We all see the lawyers out there that do we cheat them and how law firms that go after truckers. Well, we're truckers. They'll come after us.
Well, and that's what I was thinking, is that you remind me of the legal relationship, where that's what a lawyer's for, is to help keep you out of the deep legal waters. And so, I mean, do you interact with lawyers too, not just the DOT, but I mean, does it get legal to that degree?
Yes, I do. I'm a qualified subject matter expert. I've been asked to write opinions. I've been deposed in lawsuits. I've been asked to testify in defense of tow truck operators. I don't just service the auto transport world. I come from a towing background. I'm a third-generation tow truck driver, and I was an operations manager at Auto Placement Center, which is now Insurance Auto Auction. So I come from, my beginnings were in the salvage transport and the towing industry, and I've taken that knowledge, brought it into used vehicle transport, a little bit of new vehicle transport. But yeah, I work with lawyers, but I'm not a lawyer. I still hold a Class A CDL. I still go out and drive every chance I get. A gentleman who bought my towing company several years ago, I actually was out doing a rollover for him in the last snowstorm. I still like to get my hands on the truck as often as possible. I actually just parked and put my last tractor trailer up for sale in January. So
wow.
I still identify with being a driver more than being a lawyer or a office person. How about that?
That's really cool. I'm sure that helps you stay very connected to the drivers.
Yes.
As opposed to just being in the office in a suit with a briefcase, spouting legal jargon.
No suit. I'll show up in blue jeans and boots and a nice button-down shirt. No suit for me. You're more likely to find me wandering around Mannheim, New York, or Mannheim, Albany, or over at Odessa, Cicero than you are to find me wandering around in a courtroom.
So let me ask you this. Because everyone's, we're all the same in that we're wondering, well, what can I get? What free nugget can I get right now? Here's a question. Someone is asking if you help with taxes. I'm assuming we're barking up the wrong tree with taxes.
I am not an accountant. I am not a tax expert at all. The only taxes I'm familiar with are your road use taxes, such as New York highway use, or the New Mexico weight distance tax, or your fuel taxes.
Right. Okay. Right. IFTA, of course.
Yes.
You can speak at length about IFTA. So, what areas would you say the bulk? Do you have an area that takes up the majority of your work and headspace? Just a common issue that you see over and over?
Simple compliance with FMCSA regulations. Most of my clients are smaller fleets, from single truck owner operators to 10 or less trucks, and they don't have a procedure in place to complete a proper driver qualification file. So I see a lot of little mistakes there that will translate into large fines when they come in for your new entrant audit. Stupid stuff like not having a piece of paper signed when you're an owner-operator under your own authority. You didn't fill out your own employment application, or you didn't write a policy telling you that you're not allowed to use a cell phone unless you have a hands-free device on it.
Oh, wow.
These are little things that they look for in your driver qualification file and in your records when you have a trucking company. And we don't think about that when it's just us. Why would I have to tell myself I can't do that? I know what I'm supposed to do. And it's BS. But they want this trail of paper, if you will. The other big area I see folks get into trouble with is not having a compliant drug testing program. And that's one of what the FMCSA calls the 16 deadly sins. That'll shut you down pull your operating authority right on the spot if you're operating a truck that requires a CDL without being in a drug testing program.
So, man, I'm gonna hit pause. 16 deadly sins that is the beginning of the kind of trail I'm talking about. Question for you. I pulled up your website. Hotshot Dave is asking what your price range is like. I'm assuming, and I pulled up your website here, I'm assuming that it depends on what you need, or how does that work?
Yes, it depends upon the size of your fleet, the number of drivers, or what particular situation you want help with. I have a subscription-based model where you can pay a certain fee based on size of your company, and I'll handle auditing your log books. And yes, even with electronic logging devices, you as a motor carrier still have to compare that computer record to your required record keeping, so your fuel receipts, your timestamp bill of lading, your toll receipts, etc. For a small monthly fee, I handle stuff like that. For a different fee, I can write you a policy and procedure manual, or I can help you apply for operating authority, or even you can just pay by the hour if you need to ask a few specific questions, or maybe you need help with a challenge to get a bad inspection off your CSA score, something like that.
So if Hotshot Dave wants to get a hold of you, you've got a phone. Is the phone number the best way, or is there an email?
Phone or email. I see you have up on the screen my contact page on the web page. You
right.
Click that green button right there.
Oh,
send
cool.
a message.
Click the green
That'll
button.
Send me an email.
Cool. All right, here's a question. Are you cheaper than OIDA? There's a straight question.
Yes and no.
I'm going to guess no.
Yeah. I'm an OOIDA member, and in some areas, OOIDA will be less expensive than I am because they do a lot of basic compliance stuff for free for their members. If you're a paying member, they'll answer a lot of questions, do a lot of basic compliance stuff for free. I do a lot of that free work via Auto Transport Everything's Facebook page, or I'm the consultant for IATA, so I'll answer questions for the IATA members most of the time for free. And if it's a really simple question, you give me a call, I'm going to give you a straight answer. I'm not going to be a lawyer and tell you, it's going to be $125 for me to give you that answer. But
right. I mean,
you can't really compare.
That's the thing is
to OIDA.
Exactly. I mean, you're a hands-on boutique style agency, and OIDA is, God, how many members? What do they have? 16,000 members or something?
I'm not quite sure.
But
a more accurate comparison, although I'm nowhere near as impersonal and large, but a more accurate comparison would be J.J. Keller, where they'll assign you a compliance consultant for a fee, of course, and they'll create training videos and documents and such that are basically plug and play, fill in the blanks, and you're going to be compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, only I understand the auto transport industry specifically. I understand the towing industry specifically. I'm not a blanket company trying to cover everybody and their brother that has a truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. And so, like, let's say I'm your client. I mean, I can, trucking companies experience difficulties, right? It could be late in the night, could be early in the morning, could be the weekend. Are you available for consultation during off times, or I don't know, how do you manage that?
It's difficult, but coming from the towing industry, I'm used to 24/7.
Right.
That phone number rings through to the office or my cell phone. There's a very good chance you're going to get me to answer it.
Yeah.
Please don't call at 2 o'clock in the morning just to ask a simple question. But if you're in trouble and you don't know what's going on at the scale house or something like that, I probably can help you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Again, if we need to make an appointment because you're a night owl and you run nothing but night hours, so you're sleeping during normal business hours, well, I'm flexible there. Here it is. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 9:30 at night. I'm available for the interview. It's what I do.
Here's a good question, it's a comment. So Nadia Savchenko says that all the compliance information is available on the FMCSA website. Obviously, that's true, but the problem is people don't take the time to read all the info, but it's out there and it's available for free. So does that kind of lead us into the 16 deadly sins, that these are things obviously you should know about? I mean, you can't read the fine print on everything, I guess. I don't know. I mean, what are we talking about with those 16 sins?
All right. Well, to address that comment directly, that is absolutely correct. Everything you need to know to run a compliant business is available in the public domain. The FMCSA website is a very good resource. If you know where to find what you're looking for, you understand what you're reading there, and what I mean by that is you have the letter of the law, then you have regulatory guidance that has been published over the years, then you have what's called case law, where someone has taken something to court and challenged the way the law is written, and so now a judge has issued a different decision, which makes it mean something. Real quick, I'll speak on that, then we'll get back to the 16 deadly sins real quick.
Cool.
The 34-hour restart that we're all familiar with. If you actually go to the regulations link on the FMCSA website, right now it still says you need 2 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. periods, and you can only use one 34-hour restart once every 168 hours. That's the current rule right now on the FMCSA website. But we all know that that was challenged and changed in 2014 as part of the Surface Transportation Funding Act. But again, if you don't know that because you're new to the industry or you didn't catch that happened 3 years ago, you might be running under what you think are the current rules and penalizing yourself by complying with that. That's where someone like I come in. I help you interpret what they really mean by the rule, or what's the simplest way to comply with it.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So, I mean,
I hope that made sense.
It did. I mean, as a matter of fact, it did make sense. It doesn't mean I know how to comply with it, but I do know what you're talking about, and that is actually one of the challenges in any area of law, is that laws do change over time, or maybe there's just a different amendment to the law, and if you don't know the change in the law and you're operating under the understanding of the previous law, you can end up with a legal problem.
Correct. There was a debate on one of the Facebook groups about 2-point versus 4-point tie down for securing vehicles weighing less than 10,000 pounds, and the law for that was changed October 1st, 2011 to allow you to be legal with only 2 straps. However, that's the spirit, that's the letter of the law. The spirit of the law still doesn't necessarily allow a 2-strap tie down. There was an argument about whether they all needed to be on the same side of the vehicle, if they could both be on the front axle, both on the rear had to be opposite. It's not spelled out in the letter of the law, but the intent of the law are 2 opposite corners to restrain the vehicle from moving forward, backward, or sideways. We're not going to get into that debate tonight.
Right, okay.
But that right there, I had someone question me on that because he really thought that the 4-corner tie down was still the law, but it was changed 6 years ago. And that just shows you how outdated some of the information, even information that's on the official FMCSA website, still can be.
And that's where one can argue that if you're busy car hauling, you really don't have time to keep up on changing regulations, especially if this is at the state level rather than the federal level. How do you keep up?
Exactly, and that's a great point because we have 48 contiguous states, we have the Canadian provinces. Every one of them has a slightly different understanding, or they've adopted federal regulations with a few tweaks that fit their particular state. And we're not even going to get into the guys that only run intrastate. They stay within one state because they have a completely different set of rules. You go down to Texas and run in the state of Texas only, not doing any interstate freight, you've got much more lenient hours of service. You can run a lot harder. You go up to Alaska, you've got the same thing. They to just have someone whose business is to know exactly what's going on. I subscribe to boring publications like the Federal Register, so I get notice of all the pending rule changes before they're ever even published and happen, and I probably spend 2 hours a day listening or reading to trucking-related news stories just to stay current, and that's something you don't have time to do when you're trying to run your business. You're worried about getting to your next load and finding the next load and checking on your dispatcher. That's why they hire guys like you, because they don't have time to call and submit carrier packets and worry about clearances and checking on cars. And that's what I would equate this type of service to, whether it's me or J.J. Keller or any one of the other services that are available. We're just here to be your back office support, so you don't have to have somebody that knows 100% of the rules and keeps up with the changing rules.
Yeah, I mean it's daunting. I found this on the FMCSA site. It's a 162-page PDF talking about improving highway safety. And I mean, if I was a one-man owner-operator car hauling business, and with all of the other financial considerations and licensing, I would feel overwhelmed at trying to manage the length of this document and all of the parts within. I mean, it's a lot.
It's complicated. Just a couple slides ago, you had up there about endorsements, and one of them that caught my attention was the tank endorsement. And for our freight hauling friends, several years ago, they changed the rule where you could require a tank endorsement if you have enough transport tanks stuffed in a dry van trailer, something you would never think that would actually require you to have a tank endorsement.
Oh,
it wasn't what it was when CDL first came out in the late 80s. And these are the little things that you need to pay attention to that could cause a problem. Here's one for the folks that manage their own driver qualification file. If they're up to date on that, they know they have to run their driver's motor vehicle records every year. But did they know that every time their driver gets a new DOT physical and it gets certified with their state, they have 15 days to run another copy of that driver's motor vehicle record, put that updated record in the driver qualification file to prove that the physical was actually recorded with the state licensing agency. Plus, they have to go to, well, when it's back up and fully running, they have to go to the registry of medical examiners and look at their driver, each one of their driver's physical, pull that doctor's number, make sure he's current, and print that page and put it in the file. And that's something a lot of folks don't do for themselves or for their couple hired drivers when they're trying to manage their own compliance. You wouldn't even think about that.
Right.
My insurance company runs their record for me.
And you have to maintain a consistency of regular testing, right?
Correct. There's a lot of
crazy
there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's crazy. I mean, to me, just listening. I mean, I don't personally do any of this, but just listening to it is it's mind-numbing, really. I mean, it has nothing to do with driving and hauling, but obviously it does. It has to do with safety. But when you get into safety, I mean, you can go bananas with safety, obviously, because safety has gone bananas, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and I'll use the word safety with a big asterisk there, because a lot of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration regulations really have nothing to do with true safety on the road. They had one little problem they're trying to correct with a specific regulation that barely affects any part of our industry, the trucking industry in general. A lot of this stuff really has nothing to do with safety, such as you maintaining a duplicate copy of the driver's medical exam and checking on line to make sure he updated it with the state. That has nothing to do with safety. That's an enforcement issue. They'll catch that on the side of the road. You know whether your driver has a good medical card or not. It's little things like that. Just like our regulations here as you're scrolling through on financial responsibility. It has nothing to do with safety, where
for the CFR, oh my goodness. The CFR may as well be a dusty law book in a library somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And it gets mentioned over and over. I'll bet there's somebody listening right now is going, what's a CFR? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Code of Federal Regulations. That's where everything lives or dies in the federal government.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm only a fourth of the way through this document.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
This document could be compared to my Bible, if you will. Everything
right.
I do is contained in this document. This is the
right.
free resource FMCSA makes, but you can read it, and you still may need someone to explain it to you.
So can you, I saw it earlier, and I'm not sure if I know the link. Are you able to, off the top of your head, rattle off where people can go to get their free 162-page PDF of this? I think I was on, like, regulations.
It's either going to be through, you'll find a link to it on the FMCSA.dot.gov website.
Right.
You'll find a link in there. Somewhere on there, there's a resource. I forget exactly where the tab is, but there's a resource tab.
See, regulations. Yeah, it was like regulations, search regulations, and then it talks. Oh, there's the CFR.
Yeah, it's been a while since I actually downloaded that particular document.
Oh, here we go.
But
okay, so you click on registration, and on the drop down, getting started, it says overview. What are the steps? And okay, now I know that that's a really good link for what are the steps. This document, though, let's see, I clicked on what are the steps, and, oh man, just getting through the website is a lot of work. I think I have to hire you to get through the website.
Well, that's a good point to bring up, because this is federal government at their finest. When you're applying for your own authority, you submit your paperwork. The slightest mistake, like a misspelling of your name, will cause them to reject that application, but keep your $300 filing fee. And it doesn't have to be your mistake. It could be your Tim's Trucking LLC, and your insurance carrier files it as Tim''S Trucking LLC, and they may reject your application. I actually just had a client that's been in business for years, and he changed his address. And he did it himself, and he made one mistake, and they suspended his operating authority because of that mistake.
So, okay, so Nadia says, come on, guys. You're planning on starting your own business, providing a luxury service of transporting someone else's vehicles. Please take the time to read 162 pages. Wow.
I agree with her.
Yeah.
I agree with her.
I mean,
one of the first things you have to certify when you apply for operating authority is you're familiar with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations.
Man.
So I agree with her wholeheartedly. You need, and if you're not understanding whoever you're using for your compliance consultant, if you're not understanding what he's saying, just like your investment advisor or your CPA that does your taxes, make them explain it to you so that you understand exactly what's going on. Don't just do it because I told you need to fill this form out and do it. I want you to understand why. You really, and this is bad business for me, I'm a horrible salesman, you really should be able to do everything I can do for you, and you're just choosing to hire me as a convenience so you don't have to mess with it, and you can focus your energy on building new customers and getting away from central dispatch and the brokers. It'll give you the time to go out there and find your own direct clients.
Well,
that is really what I do.
And you know what? I mean, the thing is that my response would be, I think one of the problems is the minutia. So I really got my education when I created my 20-step blog post about auto transport business startup, and I started to learn a lot of these steps that I did not personally know as a dispatcher. I started to realize that as an owner-operator, I mean, you're under the gun to start earning money. That's one of the things that in our society, we say, get a job, go get a job. We expect, like, work money happens that week. But it really can't. Even when you start to learn that you've got to get insurance before you can even start hauling. So you've got so much stress and things happening and minutia. I understand why you didn't spend the time to read 162 pages. To me, I understand.
Correct. I'm working with a lady right now who's trying to start. She's worked for a transport company for years, and she's trying to start her own company. And she was surprised to find out that she'll need to pay her down payment on her insurance and have her insurance in place. And it still can be a minimum of 21 days from that point for the FMCSA to approve her operating authority.
Yes.
So she's looking at a full month of expenses, truck-owned, insured, ready to roll, before she can even begin to book a load for that truck. And that's where transitioning from a company driver or a leased driver where another motor carrier takes care of all this for you to running your own company is not anything to take lightly.
Right.
And you better have some money put away. I'll tell you, I started on a shoestring, and I don't know how I made it. I really don't. Well, I do. I cut a lot of corners in the beginning.
Oh, what?
I was advised, not something I'm proud of. And I paid the price for that down the road.
Right.
And I strongly suggest having money put aside. That's not what we're talking about today, but you really need to have some money put aside. You can't do this and hope that, well, I'm going to factor my load. You were talking about factors at the beginning of the show. I'm going to factor these loads so that I can buy fuel for the next load. That's not going to get you very far. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Factoring is another one of those things that, you shouldn't need it, but frankly, a lot of times you do. And who reads the fine print of just the factoring company agreement? Who reads right?
Exactly, and we all get in trouble with that. You got to be very careful. Just an aside, not my area of expertise, but be careful with factoring companies. A lot of times, once you factor a particular client with them, they get all the invoices for that client. You can't stop sending your invoices to them even when you're back in stable financial shape. So, again, read that agreement closely and be careful which one of your customers you choose to send to a factoring company, because you may lose the ability to bill them directly in the future.
It's interesting that I had a guy I worked with, and he signed up. I didn't even know what factoring was at the time, and he found a factoring company, got signed up, and yeah, basically what happened was the factoring company had a minimum requirement of invoices, which was higher than what he was actually grossing per month. So now he was essentially working for them.
Oh, ouch.
Oh yeah, no, that and he couldn't get out of the contract without a heavy penalty because it was like a 2 or 3 year contract. I mean, it's amazing. That is freaky. So.
Yep. Well, same thing happens with commercial insurance or commercial financing. You buy your insurance policy and you finance for the whole year. You may want to change carriers or go out of business and go back to being a lease operator or something, and then you find out you're liable for that entire year's worth of insurance premium, whether you had the truck on the road for 3 months or 9 months of that year. Same thing with a lot of these financing programs to buy your first truck. There's prepayment penalties, and you're going to pay them the entire amount of their payments, even if you sell your truck a year early and want to get out. There's no discount for early payoff.
I think that Nadia knows more about this FMCSA website than the average person. My question, Nadia, is which drop-down should I be looking at to find the link to that so I can post the link? So, and she says to Hotshot Dave, don't read it at once. You're not getting your MC number overnight. And the good thing, Nadia, is that Hotshot Dave has a successful business going right now. And I think he's just trying to make sure that he doesn't reach the non-compliance crossroads, which is, now that's another thing where you come in, Brian, is that down the road, let's say, you've got a company, let's say you got a small fleet, 2 trucks, because I like the fleet example because that seems like the easiest way to end up in hot water when you're the owner, you have a driver who could maybe get you caught up in non-compliance. Am I right?
Yes. When you start hiring a driver, whether they're an employee driver or you want to expand your fleet because your buddy has a truck and you want to lease him under your authority, you have to remember you are fully responsible for everything they do. Wow. And it's really easy to get yourself in trouble, but getting in trouble with drivers almost happens as a matter of design, because your driver is going to want to get home. He's going to want to push that logbook a little harder. He may not understand why it's so important to change that light bulb on the trailer the moment it goes out. Just stupid little things like that.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about light bulbs on the trailers being an issue.
Anything like that. It's $100 fine for the light being out, and it's points on your safety score.
Wow.
And it goes against your vehicle maintenance basic, and they have a problem with lights. We're going to pull every one of their trucks in and inspect them.
So
it's little things like that that add up.
All right, so Hotshot Dave says that he is in the process of considering leasing on a driver, and he seems pretty interested in contacting you. He should call you, is that right? Is that the fastest way to reach you?
That's the fastest way to reach me. I promise you, it's only myself and 2 other guys right now. I promise you that if you get a voicemail, I will get back to you. I try real hard to answer my phone without it landing in a voicemail, but there's only so much I can do by myself right now.
So Hotshot Dave, it is. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Okay, Brian is at 570-228-6210. 570-228-6210, and I just put that in the chat. So if you want to get a hold of Brian, absolutely. I mean, this is fascinating. What's really interesting is, I mean, with all the different areas that we could go into, and we could easily get bogged down into a 1-hour conversation on probably any of these topics. I mean, from driver consortium to an actual repair issue on the truck. We were talking about the lightings. You've got to have documents on files. I mean, I don't know. My head spins a little bit, actually. That's why I wanted to have you on the show, so I could be on like a mental merry-go-round.
And you're absolutely correct, Jay. Any one of those topics could be a show all in itself. And just real quick, to tell you where to get to the document you were asking about,
yeah,
Carrier's Guide to Improving Highway Safety.
Yes.
From the FMCSA's homepage, go to the registration tab, go down to where it says Get Authority to Operate, click on that, and then over on the right-hand sidebar under Related Documents is the guide that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And
the Bible.
Download it from there. Yeah.
Right, we should hear Ark of the... All right. And there it is. Just click on the PDF and go off to Dreamland.
And you'll find that you might find it easier to understand version if you go to whatever state you're based in. Their website for trucking, like in Pennsylvania, it's the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, and you can find a guide to trucker or some title similar to that on most state-level websites, which explains everything that the federal government needs, plus the requirements you'll need because you're based in that state. Kansas has a real good one, and Kansas, actually, if you're going to get intrastate operating authority in Kansas, you have to attend a class that they present to learn these rules. A client of mine has been in business 30 years as an interstate motor carrier. sit in a class on something he's been doing for 30 years. I see you're on the PAPUC website. They consider us a public utility in Pennsylvania.
So
Okay,
is
now you're going to go look for Kansas.
right, but Public Utility Commission, is that a common term for the authority
Yes.
within a state?
Yes, that goes back to the days of the Interstate Commerce Commission, which is where our MC, or motor carrier number, comes from. Trucking used to be a highly regulated entity that was considered a public necessity, a public utility, just like your water department, your electric supplier, your natural gas supplier. Trucking was an essential service to the growth of the country, and therefore we were regulated as if we were public utilities. That's why we had to get permission to start a trucking company. Be glad that this is not in the 70s and earlier, where you had to petition the ICC for the right to start a trucking company
Oh my
and run
gosh.
a certain freight lane. And it was very common to come from, say, Philadelphia to Cincinnati, Ohio, loaded, and then have to go back empty because you didn't have the authority to go from Cincinnati back to Philly. So that's where you
Oh my gosh.
companies and all that. That all went away in the 80s with the ICC Sunset Act. But that also is what opened up the industry to allow anybody and their brother to jump into the trucking industry, and that's why the rates have stayed the way they are, because the competition is extremely fierce. Back in the good old days, if you will, we didn't have the same type of competition. In fact, the rates were set by law. You had tariffs that told you what you would charge, and they were usually very profitable.
You know, it's interesting. One time I was looking into the history of a bill of lading, and I found out it goes all the way back to sailors and shipping and, hundreds of years ago.
Well,
So
a lot of the language that is on our common freight bill, our bill of lading, is actually maritime law language. You're exactly right. That's where it comes from.
wow. It's fascinating, man. I can't I can't imagine. So I mean, I guess this way is still better than then, right? If you had to petition, what, a court or a...
Pure free enterprise, and I
Holy
support
mackerel.
free enterprise, absolutely.
Wow. That's really interesting. That is awesome. You know what's cool is that I can tell that I'm just going to go out on a limb and say to be your client sounds like a pleasurable thing. I mean, you sound really patient and thorough and knowledgeable, and as an agent where you feel like, you know, you've got a major financial stake in the moment, you sound like the kind of person I would want to have on my side. So
Thank you, Jay.
absolutely, I truly mean that. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's amazing. You know, it's cool. And then Nadia, she's in the chat line. She's been providing some really good information and interacting with the other drivers. It's cool to see that it's really good to know that there are folks out there that can be tapped into. I'm sure there's a moment where you could be facing a multi-$1,000 level fine and you need help right now. I mean, do you get contacted in those situations?
Yes, I do. And the FMCSA loves their fines. They really do. And it's hard to contest the fine with the FMCSA.
Wow.
A common example, if you get a motor carrier enforcement officer that's really angry at you, and he catches you with your handheld cell phone and writes it under federal motor carrier regulations instead of the state cell phone law, you as the driver could face up to a $2,750 fine. And then this is where having those right policies in place are important. Your employing motor carrier could face up to a $12,014 fine for permitting you to use that handheld cell phone if they didn't specifically have a piece of paper that said, don't do that, and you sign it. And that's where the FMCSA makes their money, is that's why that one little piece of paper in a file somewhere becomes so important, because it relieves you of your liability for what that driver did, and now you're not going to get the fine for it because you told him, no, don't do that.
Oh.
And do stupid things like that, or losing your operating authority. I mean, the list of the 16 things that will instantly suspend your operating authority is failing to implement a drug and alcohol program, using a driver that you knew had alcohol in his system, or failed a drug test, or using a driver. This is one that gets a lot of people, knowingly using a driver who does not possess a valid CDL. Where that gets you is what I was speaking on earlier with the medical certification. Your driver forgets to submit his new physical to his home state. He gets downgraded while he's out on the road, gets pulled into a roadside inspection. Well, he's going to get a ticket for operating a commercial vehicle without a CDL. You, possibly, as the employing motor carrier, could get in trouble because we're supposed to have a system in place to know his medical expired and know his medical was not updated on his state motor vehicle record. Now, if you did your diligence and you pulled the report and it was shown on your copy, cool, you're not going to see a fine for that. But if you didn't, and this is day 17, because you have 15 days from the time his medical expired to pull that new motor vehicle record to prove he filed with the state, well, now you have a chance of the FMCSA coming and pulling your operating authority for that one little citation. Does it happen? No, but not often, but it can happen. And these are the areas where when they start losing their low-hanging fruit, like the form and manner violations on a paper logbook, they have to still make their money somehow. I suspect as we get more technology in our trucking companies with things like electronic logbooks and electronic bill of lading, stuff that's easy for them to audit, they're going to start looking for the little things that they might overlook right now just so they can make up their revenue from the fines.
So it's interesting. You just said, I was just thinking about ELD. So, I mean, what's the first thing you would say now that we've added ELD to the equation? And in fact, this is probably good timing with April coming up. I mean, what can you say in addition to the 16 sins which are essential? What's the 17th sin about ELD? I mean, what would you say?
Well, starting April 1st, the soft enforcement period is over, and most states will be looking to put you out of service. And this is an area where I disagree with OOIDA. I love their idea that several of the states have not adopted into their law, so therefore they cannot enforce the ELD regulation. However, that's not the case of what's really going to happen. They're going to write the citations. A handful of drivers are going to take them to court and contest it. Most drivers are going to pay the citation and move on. Most companies are going to pay it and move on. Love them or hate them, and I sell them, but it doesn't mean I like them. I am a loose leaf logbook guy myself. My truck that we just parked was a 2000 with a 1999 model year motor for the tractor with a 2014 trailer. I updated my trailer equipment, but I kept the old truck because I love them. But anyhow, back on topic. ELDs, love them or hate them, we're going to have to comply with them because it's just my gut feeling it is not going away. There's a lot of great, strong effort, grassroots efforts. A lot of folks are really trying hard. I'd love to see them go away because they're a little bit overreaching into our business. Are there some guys that fudge? Yeah. Is it the epidemic that everybody thinks? No. So ELDs, pick a quality one. Stop trying to use the free app. Stop trying to use the one that's a one-time fee. Stop all of that. You're hearing about the problems with them. Well, you get what you pay for. Unfortunately, you're going to have to buy a decent solution that's purpose-built to be an ELD, not just something to add to your cell phone. There's too much going on in that space. Your cell phone has a hard enough time keeping a phone call and letting you surf Facebook when you're parked. Now you're asking it to talk to your truck every time you walk away and come back and reconnect, depending many of us can't get our Blue Parrot headset to reconnect to our phone dependably all the time. It's just something purpose-built. That's my guidance on ELD. Buy one that's actually made for it. Standalone device. You're not handing the officer your cell phone. You're not worried about it not working. It's going to work. It's going to work fairly well. And use it. And charge for it. Stop saying, okay, I can do that, and then worrying about how you're going to cheat the logbook and push the edge or push the limit to get that load done. Stop killing yourself 14 hours a day. Build a better load. Build in that space cushion. Nothing says we can't stop. I can't tell you the last time when I was driving I actually used every minute of my 14-hour clock. If I wanted to stop and sit down for an hour and have a dinner, I'm stopping. It's not a big deal. I'll make that hour up tomorrow. And really, just start running your business compliant, and it's going to force everybody to pay you more. It's going to force everybody to change the way they dispatch their runs when 70% of the trucks can't get that turn done anymore. Maybe the shipper is going to get the idea that, well, we can't get from point A to point B in that time frame anymore. That's what I think ELDs will help the industry, because there's going to be irrefutable proof that it took this long. It takes us 3 hours at Mannheim to go find a load of cars and pull them, not 20 minutes. And that's where you're going to start finding more violations as well. They're going to start looking at, oh, gee, you ran in, you went right off duty, then magically 2 hours later you spent 15 minutes on duty not driving, and you drove away with a load of 90 cars. It doesn't happen that way, driver.
Do you have, I mean, you don't have to endorse an ELD, but do you know of a few that fit the description that you're talking about? Because I have a feeling, and I know some of what you're saying is correct, is that you need kind of a standalone unit. Are you talking about something like an Omnitrax that's a standalone unit and not an app on your phone?
Something like that, yes. It doesn't have to be quite as expensive as an Omnitrax.
Because those are expensive.
System.
Yeah.
They are.
Like, what about... Yeah, go ahead, please.
I personally sell the Pedigree line of ELDs, and they're a fairly decent product. We have a low end, we have a high end. Our mid-road product's pretty good. Now, there's some other transporters out here that are going to yell and scream and throw something at their computer, because Pedigree provides the ELDs for the entire United Road fleet, and there were some problems when they rolled out.
Okay.
It's not perfect. We went from Pedigree went from a small company servicing the North Dakota oil fields to a national player in ELD. They've been doing telematics and automatic onboard recorders for 10 or more years, but they grew, they exploded overnight when the ELD mandate came about, and I got overwhelmed even with ELD sales in December because everybody waited to the last possible minute, and they're still waiting. Something along the lines of that. Something...
So is that the ELD Chrome One View by Pedigree?
Yes.
Looks cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, and we do have a bring your own device version if you're insistent upon using your own tablet or your own cell phone, but something along that lines. And what I suggest you look for is something that doesn't just plug into the data port under your dashboard. The ones you buy over the counter at the truck stop, they're designed to fit as many trucks as possible, and they're going to have communication errors. You want one that when you order it, we ask you exactly what truck you have, and it's configured to the truck that it's being installed in.
Yeah.
It's something that gets wired into the truck, not just plugged in and it's going to vibrate loose and you're going to lose the connection.
Right.
Something at least with a Y cable so that data port stays open for the mechanic. Something, just look for quality like that. Don't look for the cheapest, easiest way out. I'm going to plug this in and hope it pairs to my cell phone. I tried a couple besides the one I was selling. I wanted hands-on experience with some of the competitors' products, and there are some other good ones out there. AT&T has one, I believe they marketed under the Fleetmatics brand, and they're a pretty good product as well. And retailer's having some compliance issues with their particular ELD, but I think once they get that ironed out, it will be a good product as well. I'm kind of excited about the pre-pass one.
Yeah, me too.
Incorporated.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't use the cell phone version of it. I would get a dedicated tablet because I have issues with handing stuff to the roadside officer. I downloaded the Keep Trucking app on my phone the other day to play with it, and it's got a great inspection mode that locks the app out, but it doesn't lock out the rest of my phone. I can close out of the app when it's in roadside inspection mode and go look at my pictures, my Facebook, everything, and I don't want the officer to accidentally stumble upon the fact that my driver was texting while he was driving. Not that that's allowable, but I don't want to hand him the evidence to hang me. That's another.
I heard an officer actually say, I believe it was on Facebook, and he posted, "Don't hand us your cell phone," like he was saying, "Don't do that, please," because it sounds like you're putting him in the position where he now has that evidence,
right?
And he doesn't want it.
The ELD regulations, when you're actually dealing with a compliant ELD, they have a couple data transfer methods, but one of them is on the screen of the device, and the device must be able to be untethered from the vehicle. It doesn't specify for a distance. It says for a reasonable distance, where the CVSA, that's the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, the group that monitors and trains all of the roadside enforcement officers across North America, they're interpreting that reasonable distance to be the same safety and comfort they have with a paper logbook, and they want to be able to take that screen, if it doesn't have a cord on it, all the way back to their cruiser and sit in the cab of sit in the seat of their car, and who knows what they're doing with your personal cell phone back there.
Right. Well, I mean, it's really... Oh my gosh, it's fascinating. So, and that was one other area I was going to ask you about. You said electronic bill of lading. What do you have to say about electronic bill of lading?
I love them if you've got a dependable one, and I don't have any to recommend there. The only ones I have any experience with were the Ready and the Cars Arrive app, because I was a carrier for Mannheim and for Odessa, but I love them because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I'm old school. I inspected cars on paper for most of my career, but it is so easy to miss something. And when you've got a good quality picture to go with your EBOL, it's great. The downfall of the electronic bill of lading, they have a timestamp, whether it's hidden in the picture or it's actually printed on the bill of lading. So if you're someone that's less than compliant with your hours of service, or you're looking to sneak around somewhere, well, it knows that you took the pictures of that car as you pulled it out of the gate at the auction while your logbook says you're in the sleep or taking a nap. That isn't going to get you in trouble every day, but when something serious happens, that might be the piece of evidence that determines whether you spend some time in jail or you go home at night. So, again, think about what you're doing.
I have heard some car haulers say that they're not going to use an electronic bill of lading app that does time stamping and date stamping, and that they just refuse to use it. Do you think
eventually that's going to go away? The time and date stamps is my belief. It's just like the fuel tickets and everything else. You get a fuel ticket from most truck stops, and they do not have a time and date. They have a date stamp, but no time stamp on it, so that you're not tied down to a certain point in time. Now, keep in mind, when you're using a fuel card, like a Voyager card or a Comp Data card, a lot of times the transaction is date and time stamped, and that is discoverable in court. But I love the idea of an electronic bill of lading. It's still not perfect, because there's still parts of the country you can't get data signal to actually transmit that. I've had the Ready app a couple of times sent no photo available on both pickup and delivery after I moved and delivered a car, and I know there were photographs there. So they're not perfect. I think they're a lot better than paper, and I think that they settle a lot of disputes with the pictures. That's for sure.
So in my experience, I agree with you. I think that electronic bill of lading software is a good thing. However, in my experience, much like ELD, as you get used to this product and you encounter at random a situation where you're having trouble or don't know what to do, whether it's internet related, battery related, or software update related, there's so many scenarios where you need to talk to somebody to get you through this issue, that it's another area where you need a product where you can get good support.
Exactly. Pick one that has a good reputation, and support is the key word. Pick one with support. One more thought on the electronic bill of lading. Again, be careful which device you're actually completing them on, because whichever device you're completing it on, it's a required document. You have to hand it to the officer if he wants to see your bill of lading. And if you don't have a paper copy and all you have are your e-bill of ladings, they're acceptable. But you have to, again, if you have that on your personal cell phone, you're handing him your personal cell phone.
Well, that's right. It's on your cell phone. And if you're having trouble logging in, what do? I mean, right?
You need to talk to somebody, and not every plan out there lets you talk and run your app or surf the internet at the same time.
Well, and it's interesting because I talked to a car hauler that he was having an issue with an ELD. Again, it's software based on a cell phone, and it was kind of going crazy. And that is absolutely a problem. You can't have a software solution on your cell phone going crazy with the threat of a regulatory agency right around the corner to double check what you're doing. And I'm doing my job. My unit is malfunctioning. Well, why don't you come on in and talk to us about it?
Now, you just mentioned something there as well about your unit malfunctioning. Just a heads up, another one of those free nuggets for you. When you are having ELD problems, you have to document that immediately. Even if you're the owner-operator and own the authority and you're a one-man show, you have to send yourself a message. ELD is not working, so you have a date and time stamp of when you first noticed the malfunction. And then you can start the process to repair it or get a temporary waiver to run without an ELD for the time period you think it's going to take to replace or repair your device. That's another good point in choosing an ELD. Choose a company that answers their phone and gets back to you within a couple of hours so that they can get the process started to ship you a replacement device, because without a waiver from FMCSA, you have 8 days to fix that device, or that truck is sitting until you have a working ELD in it. It's really that simple.
And so
if you...
Oh, no, please finish the sentence. And so
if you don't get your ELD fixed within about 4 or 5 days, start the process for a emergency waiver from the ELD, which will buy you 2 or 3 weeks. And for that, I will refer you to OOIDA. They have an excellent program they just put together on that with step-by-step instructions, and their compliance department is willing to help because they're, again, gathering this information to fight the ELD mandate. So that is an area where I'll defer to them. They're the experts on getting that waiver.
You just said something talking about how shippers will have to realize that they're also going to have to come to the table and start to understand more. And Nadia is right now talking about how the world is getting digital, and phone, PC, laptop is becoming part of the business process. I know as a dispatcher, I'm still sitting here on the phone with brokers that have not acknowledged that ELD has added expense, that ELD has tightened the timeline for turnaround. There are still plenty of brokers that will not even let me book a few days from now. I cannot properly plan because the brokers won't let me book loads just even a few days out. So they're still not acknowledging the new problems that we're headed into.
I agree with you.
It's my experience.
The car haul world as far as electronic dispatching and freight boards and all that, we're about 7 to 10 years behind where the freight world is. The central dispatch and online load boards for auto transport are a relatively new thing compared to the freight world. We had dial a truck in rest areas and truck stops in the 80s and 90s on a TV screen up in the corner. For the auto transport world, it's a new thing. So it's going to take the car haul brokers and shippers a while to adapt. Freight did see a marked increase in rates and a change in broker behavior with the implementation of the ELD mandate. Car haul, there's still a lot of extra money in the broker's pocket, so he's not as desperate yet to move something to give up that control and that money. And this is where we, as drivers, have the power, as company owners, to, it hurts, but let it sit. Don't do it if it doesn't fit your terms. Now, for you, it's frustrating as a dispatcher.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Somebody's load.
You don't know.
No, I don't, because I was fortunate. Most of my work was with my own direct customers, and it was, I called it a milk run. I ran the same basic routes every day, every week, and that's what we did for 16 years. We did the same stuff over and over, made it simple.
Right, a milk run. I would love a milk run in car hauling. I've never seen that, actually.
Yeah, we were fortunate. We were contracted before the Ready and the Cars Arrive days. We were contracted directly with Newburgh Auto Auction, Northway, which is now Manheim Albany, and Nexus Cicero, and ran that little triangle from Scranton, Pennsylvania area up, over, and back 5 days a week, every week, and it was beautiful. And then about 3 years ago, everything changed.
Wow. Yeah, things sure have changed quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really have. It's amazing. As what's interesting, I've only been in this business for 5+ years, and when I started, there was no electronic bill of lading that I knew of. I mean, it must have existed in some form of infancy, but and then Central Dispatch. I actually thought Central Dispatch was easier to use. They've made some upgrades to their new look, which I hate, actually. So there are some things that have changed technologically, but the biggest is clearly the ELD, which even a year ago nobody really talked about as if it was a real technology that would actually happen. In fact, people are still hoping it doesn't happen. I mean, right now there are 4 to 7 states, I believe, that are talking about trying to push back on ELD. Right?
Correct. And I think that, and again, my gut feeling, I like the fact that they're pushing back, but I think it's more for show, because none of those states can actually afford to lose their motor carrier safety assistance funds and their federal highway support funds. And that's how the federal government bullies the states in the compliance.
I was just going to say that. It is, you look at any law, anything that's controversial in this country, you can look and see where the federal government has gone to the state level and manipulated and changed, regardless of how the people voted. The federal government mandates what they want to mandate.
You're right.
I don't.
They do it by withholding money, just like you would get your kid to comply. You hold it.
That's right. You are not going to get your weekly allowance. Now clean your room.
Correct.
It's amazing. Oh, man, it's crazy. So, I mean, the service you offer, I can tell Hotshot Dave is chomping at the bit to talk to you. So, I'm imagining there are other drivers as well, but, that's where it becomes, I know you've only got so much time in your day. I can't dispatch for everybody, but at least, here we are on a Tuesday night, talking about these issues. And I mean, I really want to thank you for your time, spending this time with me, not just with me, but with the live chat audience, and then for anybody that goes on to watch this video. I don't know how many hits it'll get, but I imagine many, because this is carrier compliance, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience, and it's been great talking with you, Jay.
Yeah, you have a good night. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
All right, take care, Brian.
Take care.
All right, see you, bye. Oh, man, and if you want to get a hold of Brian, let's go ahead and show his contact page again. There is his number, 570-228-6210, and you can be a new client of his. His website is fleetcompliancesolutions.net, and he gave a free interview. There was no exchange of compensation between either one of us. He gave his time tonight just to talk to the audience and give some free pointers. And you want to go ahead and go to the FMCSA website. Go to fmcsa.dot.gov. Let's type it in. And this is how you get your free 162-page Put You to Sleep manual. No, that's a different manual. This is the ever important FMCSA guidelines. Go to the registration tab. Drop down is Get Authority to Operate. Click on that. And then on the right side of the screen, Related Documents, a Motor Carrier's Guide to Improving Highway Safety. Click on that, and the link will launch a PDF file. Well, it actually takes you to another page where you click on the PDF file link, and you can download your free 162-page Improving Highway Safety PDF. And yeah, go through it, man. If you're going to be out on the road, you are going to have to get into all of these. And I think that the drug consortium, medical card, some of those basic testing policy, recurring document responsibility certifications are some of the things that probably are the easiest thing to take care of, and make sure that you move on to hauling and understanding more intense regulations like strapping down, etc. So, but I don't need to, preach about that. I'm just a guy at a desk asking for a like and a subscription. And I created Auto Transport Intel because this is a car hauling ecosystem. There is not a show like this right now. I'm happy to say. I know there are plenty of trucker YouTube channels with great advice. These are guys on the road, and there are Hotshot Dave has a channel where he is a car hauler on the road giving excellent advice. But there is no show of a dispatcher sitting at a desk every Tuesday night and with a live chat audience. And so I thank you guys for every Tuesday night tuning in, taking the time to spend with me, chat with each other, giving advice, and hitting that like button. All right, I said it again. And I appreciate the views that I get on the videos. I like making the videos, but without the views, obviously it just wouldn't be the same. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And let's check, this is what I wanted to do, last thing. Let's check Social Blade. Let's see how we're doing here. So, oh, cool. I gained, this socialblade.com is cool. You can check it for any YouTube channel. And there are some great YouTubers out there, by the way. I just want to say that the YouTube wisdom section that I created on my homepage, oh man, these guys are throwing down some serious YouTube wisdom. So if you are, if you're creating a YouTube channel or you know somebody and they're looking for good advice, I'm telling you, these guys have that great advice. So I want to thank them also. So I'm wrapping up the show, man. It is time to hit that DOT button and bring out the car hauler. Let me see if there's any last comments in the live chat. What is the best to call? I think that's in reference to another one. That is the problem with the FMCSA and the DOT. Can you all give up their business? Hey, what's up, Brandon? AOBRDs will not be allowed. Yeah, don't AOBRD. You may as well not even know that term. You can just throw that out with the other things you don't need to know. And I want to thank you, Nadia, for being the live chat contributor of the show. Really appreciate all your input. Excuse me, all your input and information. And I got your email, and I will email you back. Also, Dave, I'm going to email you Brian's info. And Big Papa, thanks for joining the show. I want to thank everybody again one more time. Thanks for joining the show, for being my hardcore fan group on Auto Transport Intel. I promise one of these days I will get some merchandise going. I've just been kind of working through so many show elements and videos, and I've got some more great stuff. Next week, we're going to get into Dispatcher Training Live Part 2. The week after that, we're going to go into filing on a broker's bond. That's going to be amazing. That's with a car hauler friend of mine that has done it more than once, and he was able to recoup his funds. So you're going to want to tune in for that. Other than that, I'm going to fire up the car hauler. Let's go ahead and hit another DOT button. And one more drink from the magic Kool-Aid. Oh, I feel so much better about ELD. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you in a week. And y'all take care. Drive safe. Be safe out there. Thank you. Okay, here we go.